Hello, everyone. This is Maisha with As Long as You're Breathing, and welcome to this Every Life is a Story event. And I am so thrilled today to have Pam McDonal with us. She is one of my co-authors in Find Your Voice, and I can never do this, as you all know. Find Your Voice, Save Your Life 2, which the lead author was Dianna Leeder. And this has just been a joy, this book has, because I've met so many great people. Pam is one of them, and I'm just enjoying so much bringing everyone's stories to you because, as you know, I believe that every life truly is a story, and if we are open and vulnerable and will tell our stories, we inspire other people, we motivate other people, we have other people who look at them and say, oh my gosh, that's me, I can do it too. And you all know is what I say, as long as we're breathing, we're not out of ink. We can keep writing. And our lives are not just one story. There are many chapters. So there's all kinds of stories in our lives. And Pam gets to talk about whatever chapter she wants to today. But I know that she's going to lead up toward the book today. But we've already been talking, and she's going to become part of the family, y'all. I can tell you that right now. So without further ado, Pam McDonal, welcome to Every Life is a Story, girl.
Thank you. I am so excited and happy to be here. Thank you so very much for having me.
Yes, glad to have you.
It will be fun. We've already spent, 15 minutes having fun.
I know. Yes, already. And we've already gone off into so many tangents.
Yeah.
We've been down the rabbit hole already. So,
yes, exactly.
So, girl, yes. We met through the book. So, but if you want to tell us a little preamble before we get to talking about the book, tell us about Pam.
Oh my goodness. There's nothing special and everything special about Pam.
There's everything special about Pam.
You know, it's kind of one of those things when you look at your life, well, at least when I look at mine, I don't see anything super exceptional. I just lived life, the life I needed to live to get to where I am today. And when I look back on that, I don't, they say we're not supposed to say it this way, but I truly don't remember a whole lot about my childhood. There are snippets, but I am beginning to remember things from my childhood when once I didn't feel like I did. So as I, kind of came up through life, 3 marriages and divorces.
Me too.
A lot because, it wasn't probably so much them or so much me. It was just not the right combination.
Absolutely.
And for me, partially because I really didn't know who I was, who this little girl is, because I had learned very, very early in life, not from physical abusive parents or living in an abusive home, because I had a wonderful childhood. My brother and I will both tell you we had 2 of the best parents in the world. But my dad did have this little temper, and
I've read the book.
This ability to kind of speak his truth.
Okay.
A less than gentle way sometimes. And I now understand that I was born very sensitive. I'm empathic. So that just adds to the mixture. But back in the day I was born and raised in Oklahoma, in this small little town south of Tulsa, if you know where that is. And, I'm sure my parents knew nothing about the energies of the body or that around us, or being sensitive or empathic, what.
Right.
Yeah, that was all woo-woo stuff.
Right. You were Midwest and common sense and all of that.
Southern Baptist.
Right. Yeah. Work hard, do things the right way, be logical, sensible.
You know what? You're born, you grow up, you get married, you have children, and you live happily ever after.
By golly. One way or the other.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I don't know that that was ever said to me, but that's what,
Was
you know, being an
implied.
empath, that's what I got.
Yeah, it was
And
it
so,
was it was your programming.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
And that's okay. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, what a structure I got. I love my Baptist background. It gave me a great foundation in belief and faith and understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's things I don't resonate with it, but you know that's okay too. And so, as I was growing up, very early, I learned that it was much safer if I learned how to kind of become what I call in the book a chameleon, and
Yes, you do.
learn how to navigate this person, that situation, that person, this situation, you know, whatever it might be. And I became very, very, very good at that.
Yes.
I know when I wrote the chapter in my first book, I talked a little bit about that. And one of my childhood friends uh, read the chapter like every year we get together for Super Bowl. There's about 8 of us that get together for Super Bowl. That's about the one time of the year we actually see all each of us
Mm-hmm.
together,
Yes.
but or all of us together. Anyway, there were only 4 of us there this last year, and she read the chapter and she looked up and she goes, "Pam, this is so sad. I never knew any of this." And I went, "Why is it sad? No, it's supposed to be happy. You're supposed to understand that that's just part of my life, but
Yeah.
it's a happy life." I mean, I really haven't known sadness or being unhappy. Have there been those moments? Well, sure. Did it make me sad and unhappy because I have 3 failed marriages? Yeah. Because,
Yes.
oh, yeah, I was supposed to grow up, get married, have kids, and live happily ever after.
Yeah.
You know, stuff happens.
Yeah.
So, anyway, moving further on in life, and there's many stories, you know, in there, but during my 3rd marriage, my mother, my father died in 85 of a heart attack very suddenly. I was in Southern California. Um, that was in February. I felt very, very happy about the fact that I had just been home for a couple of weeks in December for Christmas. So, you know,
Good.
I had some good time. And actually, for the first time ever in my life, that year before, it was about a year before, I actually learned how to have a relationship as an adult with my dad.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
So,
Because that is,
yeah,
people may not realize, especially men, that for little girls, learning to have a relationship with your dad
an
is
adult
an
relationship.
adult relationship with your dad is really,
Yeah.
that is something. And I don't know that men know that little girls learning to have the adult relationship with their dad is a turning point.
Well, it was for me
It
because that
is.
was the very first time I probably found my voice really
Yes, I remember. I
strongly.
remember finding mine with my dad. So yes, I
Yeah.
know exactly what you mean.
So
Yeah.
just a snippet about that is I was in California. I was working for who was I working for? The county out there. Can't even remember what I was doing. But I was having trouble. There was a group of us that were brought together to come up with a plan to do whatever. So, you know, you have your ideas, they have theirs. And
Right.
it was just like, it's kind of like that alien voice that I talk about having sometimes when I'm talking with people. And I'm just like, did you not just hear what I said? Because, you know, you'll say, I don't like grapes. And then you hear from them. And so because you like red grapes, and I'm just like,
Did I say that? Oh, hello? Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the alien voice. Is that it? I
Yeah,
love that phrase.
it's like an alien tongue that I speak in. But
Oh, wow.
anyway,
I've got to
we
use that one now.
yeah. So we had kind of come to an impasse, with being able to kinda come up with a total conclusion of what we were gonna do. So I called my dad up, and, I said, "Dad," because he was always great for, wisdom, and he was my go-to man, my go-to guy if I needed help in that direction. So I called him up
Good.
and I say, "Hey, Dad, having this thing at work and I kind of need your perspective on it. And this is what's happening. And so have you got any thoughts about, how I can kind of get that turned around or, you know, kind of help move that forward?"
Yeah.
And he stopped for a minute. And this is over the phone, right? But I'm
Mhm.
seeing his expression. I know what his expression is. I'm feeling
Sure.
the energy. I know what's coming. "Well, darling, I think you just need your get your ass back into the work and get it done." And I'm just like,
Well, there you go. There's the
"Well,
answer.
hell yeah, that's the answer."
A good Midwestern common sense answer. Get it done.
Yep. So I'm like, pissed me off, really. So
Well,
I
sure.
hung
Yeah.
up the phone and I ponder over it for about 3 days, which is, kind of my thing.
Yeah.
And I have to think about it, and I have to really, because I'm not gonna blurt out, we were talking just a little bit earlier about saying things kindly and
Right.
not we want our truth told, but we want it told in a way that people can accept it
Receive it.
and
Yeah.
receive it. Yeah.
Right. Right.
So, or receive and accept it. So,
Right.
I pondered on it, and the longer I pondered on it, the more I was just like, "You know what? This is just not getting it for me." So I picked the phone back up. My dad's not there. My mom's there. Mama goes, "So can I help with anything?" I said, "No, I need to talk to Daddy. Would you have him call me?" And she goes, "Yeah." So he calls me and he goes, "What's up?" "What's up?"
What's up? Like a teenage girl. What's
Yeah.
up?
Like there's nothing wrong. Like he said nothing wrong, right? So I'm shaking because this is my daddy. I'm standing up to my daddy.
Yeah,
How
you're
do you
about to
do
tell your
that?
daddy what's up.
Yeah. And I'm like, the other day when we were talking, yeah. And I said, "You told me that I just needed to get my ass back to work." And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "Dad, that was not what I needed to hear. I truly called for your wisdom and your advice. I needed for you to help me walk through that problem, see what my issue was if I had it, or if there was an issue on the other side that I could have helped with." Again, total silence. I can feel the energy. I can see his body in my mind.
I'm seeing the Masonic ring is what I'm seeing.
Yep. And he said, "Baby, I am so sorry.
Wow.
I thought you just needed your butt kicked." And I said, "No, Daddy, I really needed you to walk through it with me." And he goes, I am so sorry. So
Wonderful.
if you ever need me again, don't you hesitate to call." And I said, "I won't, but I better not get that answer." And he goes, "You won't." And so that was really, yes,
Oh, wow.
one of those moments that, I've
Yes.
got chills now just going through that whole little conversation again because, you know, to speak that way to your daddy, especially when you come from the background, yeah, you don't talk back. I was slapped away from the table for doing that. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
anyway, so yeah, okay. So fast forward a little bit from that on to mom, and she had developed Alzheimer's. So again, I'm still in Southern California. I could tell, we talked at least once a week and sometimes 2 or 3 times. And I could tell by the conversation something was wrong. So my brother's still back here at that time. And I talked to him and I said, what's going on with Mom? And we began to talk and he began to see. And so anyway, I came back. I lost my job out there and I came back here to visit with her. And once I got here, I realized that she was really further along in her Alzheimer's than we had thought. So I decided to move back and stay. And my husband at the time had a really good job that he enjoyed out there. He was still in the military as Army Guard. And he was actually assigned to the Air Force doing some work. And he just loved all that. So I went back. So this was another one of those times when I kind of sort of found my voice and said, I really need to go back home and take care of Mom. And I know you love it out here. This is where you've been for years. You have a wonderful job. You love it. And I can't ask you to give all that up to come back with me. But I understand if you do, and I understand if you prefer to divorce. We kind of had that whole conversation. And as it turned out, he did come back.
Wow.
I honor him for that. But I do think that was also a turning point for him, that had he had that choice to make over again, knowing what we know now, he probably would not have made it. And that would have been okay. I mean, I was truly okay with that. But I knew that I had to come support my mom. So she passed away in 2002. And like I said earlier, that was kind of the beginning of my journey, because I had become so depleted from all the energy it took. And I know you can appreciate this, and probably many of your listeners, being sensitive and an empath, even though you think you're taking care of yourself,
You're not.
You're not. You are to the best of your ability, but it's still not good enough, because there's just too much energy that you have to give that you do not get back.
Right. We don't understand creating positive energy loops yet. Until you understand creating a positive energy loop. And when you're taking care of someone who is terminally ill, creating a positive energy loop really isn't you can't do that.
Option.
That's not an option.
It's just not an option.
Right. And I was in long-term care, so I absolutely know that.
Yeah. I remember.
Yeah. And so when you're doing that, there's no creating a positive energy loop. Then you do what you have to do. Yeah.
You do. And,
you do what you have to do.
The way I've lived my life. I do what I have to do when I've got to do it.
That's that Midwest sensibility. Yeah. So
then I fast forward, I'm kind of into this recovery mode, medically, emotionally, physically, spiritually, all of that for me.
Well, yes, you had to heal. You lost your mama.
Yeah. And now both of my parents are gone. All my grandparents are gone. I have one sibling. He's in Colorado most of the time. And so, that was kind of a tough, that was kind of a tough story too. And maybe that one will be on paper someday, but not today. And so anyway, and I just want to say that I honor him for what he had to do for him. I didn't understand it at the time, and it was very traumatic for me, but I do honor him for doing what he needed to do for him. I did what I needed to do for me, so, and we both in our own way did what we needed to do for our mom. So,
because we cannot be what we need to be for someone else until we are what we need to be for ourselves.
Yeah.
And try as we may to get someone to see that, sometimes they don't until they've gone through it themselves, and they have to be what they have to be before they can be. And that's why we do what we do for ourselves. And it's not to be selfish. You have to do for yourself first, so then you can show up in the world to be in relationship with other people healthily, to serve healthily. We have to be healthy to serve. Yeah. When we're not healthy ourselves, we can't be in relationship healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the whole point of life is relationship. But
Mhm.
until you're okay yourself, you can't.
Unless you have that relationship with yourself. And I never
Right.
had that because I was always
Right.
some someone for
Right.
someone else or something for something else. And
Right.
it's you know, on that note, I remember as I was taking care of my mom and I was so depleted, that group that I told you we get together every
For Super Bowl, yeah.
yeah, every Super Bowl. Um, and I think we haven't missed like in 26 years or something. It's kind of like cool. We
That
were
is
my
cool.
best girlfriend from high school and I were counting that one day, and I think it's like up to 26, 27 years. I
That's
don't know.
amazing. That's
Yeah.
almost as many Super Bowls.
Yeah. We actually kind of started when I came back. But anyway, what I was going to say is while I was taking care of my mom, a group of them would go to the lake, and my husband and I would join them. And while I was taking care of my mom, it was very difficult for me to totally relax. I tried, it was one of the things I tried to do to take care of myself, but I was still the sole caregiver at that point. So
Yeah,
I had to stay in touch and be available in case something went wrong, or happened to
sure.
my mom. And so they could never really understand at the time why I couldn't just, for one weekend, 2 days, just relax and let everything go. And, over the years, they, because of their parents and what they've had to do for their parents, I think have come to a better understanding of maybe where I was at that time. Um, Now, fortunately for them, they all had a little bit more help than I did, but or I felt I did. And so anyway, it was just funny that you said that, and it kind of reminded me of that, of how, you know, what did I tell you earlier? No one else is supposed to know you're calling. It was not a conference
It
call.
wasn't a conference call. Yeah, nobody else
Yeah.
was on the line.
So you were the only one that picked up that phone.
Yeah.
So we kind of each have our path to walk, and
Right.
we each have that road that we have to take. And as my mama would say, it's sometimes a long road to hoe.
A long road to hoe. Yes. So talk about Midwest
Yep,
girl. Listen to
yep.
us.
Oh no, but we're in the South.
Yeah, we are, aren't we? A long road to hoe.
So fast forward, we come to, I kind of come out. I've kind of gotten my health back. I've gotten back into a place that I'm actually functioning, or feel like I'm functioning again,
Right.
and not in just this zombie land. And I I realized that I have not there was never a me. There was always a me, someone else. And I was just like, okay, well, who, like we were just talking a while ago, until you have a relationship with yourself, you can't really have a good relationship with anybody else,
No,
can
you
you?
can't.
And so I'm
No.
just like, so what is it that I'm missing? And yeah, going to the book again.
The
That was
book.
the book.
The
This
book.
is a little bit about what I talked about, was, the roles that we play in life. And I'm not poo-pooing that, because we do have roles to play in life,
We
every
do.
one of us.
Sure.
Um, we just can't let those roles, I don't believe we should let those roles define us in
Right.
every moment. You're not just someone's wife. You're not just someone's mother. You're not just someone's secretary. You're not just someone's CEO. You know, that's a part of you, but that's really not who you are. Who
We
you
have to,
are is in here.
yes, we have to discover who we are first and then bring that
Yeah.
person
Yeah.
consistently to each of those roles.
And I did it backwards.
We all did.
Yeah.
We all did, Pam.
Yeah.
Girl, we all did. And we were all praised for it. We were all praised for, oh, in that role, you performed so perfectly. And then you're such a good mom. And you're such a good this. And you're such a good that. Well, what about being such a good Mesha? And then let Mesha be such a good Mesha as a this. And such a good Mesha as a that. And such a good Mesha as a that. But no, we weren't taught to do it that way.
Exactly.
We were taught to do it as be such a good this and be such a good that. And we weren't taught to be such a good us.
Yeah.
And when we decide we've got to be us, well, I'll be damned. What are you doing? Well, I'm being me.
Who are you? And what have you done with Mesha? What have you done with Pam?
Yeah. Well, guess what? She's right here. I'm trying to get her out. No, you're not.
She really is.
Yeah, you're not. She's this and she's this and she's not. She's none of those things. This is her right here. They don't like it when you do that. They don't like it when you do that.
Because you are not the person that they fell in love with, that they knew from high school.
Yeah, they all defined you as.
Work.
Yeah. Yeah, they all defined you as.
Yeah. So this is a good point. I'm going to read from my book because you said I could.
Yes. Yeah. You can do anything you want to, Pam.
It's not going to be long. I promise I won't bore our audience.
Oh, that's okay.
This is when I was talking about identities. So much of our life can be wrapped around our identity. And then I talked about a few of those. Imposter, the feeling of lack, maybe being fearful, maybe being scared. And to me, fearful and scared are two different things. That's why I separated them. But then I said, can we step out of our roles to bring our gifts, our talents, and skills to life after they have been squelched or forgotten? And that's what, I feel like that's what we're talking about today and what we're going to be talking in that next book. Do we get to say what that next book is?
I think we can talk
say
about it. It's 3.
Find your voice, save your life, 3.
3, yes.
3.
We're in 3.
Yeah. So, it's 3 is a little bit more of for me, bringing that out for me. So
3 I think is going to be an amazing book. I think 3 is so much more powerful. This was amazing, but 3 is powerful.
I think so too.
Yeah. So 3 is powerful.
I'm very excited we've got like 2 weeks to write our chapter. I guess I better get busy. Back to work.
I've started. Don't you go get in the bathtub, woman. Don't you do it. Don't you do what you did in this one.
I am telling you, that was the most bizarre thing in both of those books.
Yes.
Seriously, the weekend that I planned to go work with my editor, I was sick. And I was in bed for the whole weekend. I'm never sick. Well, rarely am I ever sick.
Well, don't do that again.
I'm not gonna. No, by golly.
No, by golly.
I'm not doing that. So let me see where from there. Really that kind of, third divorce. I found myself divorced at 62 and I'm going, oh shit, what the hell am I going to do now? I'm supposed to be close to my retirement years and doing whatever it is I want to do with whoever I want to do it with, then have plenty of money. And well, that got changed a little bit. That's one of those, you do what you got to do when you got to do it with what you get to do it with.
Right.
And so, I began at that time really to kind of, I guess, reinvent my life.
Or invent it.
Yeah, not reinvent it, but invent it. So I decided I would become a massage therapist. For some reason, for years, I'd wanted to do that, but it wasn't a proper career for someone to have.
Oh, because you were going to be touching people?
Well, because, massage parlors and...
Oh, massage. Oh, wow.
So anyway, it was one of those I said, go with, and went and did it anyway. So okay, a massage therapist. That led me into other, the myriad of energy work that's out there, Reiki, cranial sacral, energy medicine, plethora of things. So I have, how does that saying go? A jack of all trades, master of none.
Oh, that's me, girl. That's me.
But
That's me to a T.
yeah, I feel like you have to have all of those things in your toolbox to pull out for whomever you're working with that needs it. So they've all served me well. And so did all of that. In that process, my third divorce ended, and well, that was it. 62, my third divorce ended, and then I did all these other things. And I'm now happy to say that I am so much more into who I came here to be than I have ever been in my life. And I'm very excited about that. I'm partnering with a little gal by the name of Emma Smith, hi, Emma, that I went to. She and I trained together for massage therapy, and kind of went our separate ways and came back together a couple of times. And now we partner together in the same studio that we built. So, well, I mean, we didn't build it from ground up, but we built
Right.
it. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm working more in the energy part of that. I do still do massage, but I love doing my tapping work, my sacred energy tapping work, the Reiki, the cranial sacral, all those things, energy. And massage is just a physical movement of energy. So,
Sure.
it's still energy. And it's funny that you don't think of those things until you really begin to resonate with your true work. So yeah, so that kind of brings us to today. I think. I mean, there's
Right.
probably lots more stories in there, but
Well, I think what you're talking about is we've come to a point in our lives early on when you were young. We lived in a world where the spiritual part of us, the energetic part of us, talking, embracing that part of us, we just didn't do that,
no.
especially in the world you and I grew up in.
Yeah.
And when you separate that out, your emotional well-being is not developed.
Yeah.
Your physical health, when your energetic body is not taken care of, the things you do for your physical health are actually band-aids, not really, you're only doing half the work because the energetic part's not being done.
Right.
Your spiritual, we talked about organized religion. I'm not anti-organized religion at all, but that's not the whole thing by any means. And so that's incomplete. So your physical, your emotional, your mental, all of that is, and your spiritual, they're not complete. And so what we talked about is we've finally come to a point in our lives where we've been able to embrace the other part of us and do it openly. And I think it's because we've come to a time where that's acceptable.
Yes.
I think
even in the
yes.
places we live.
Even in the places we lived. Yes, I think there were parts of the world where it was very acceptable.
Oh yeah.
And I think there were people probably around us who were doing it anyway. And we were like, and we were, our parents and grandparents were pointing them out and saying, and you're not going to be one of those, that kind of thing,
True.
You're not going to be one of those people, and so I'm sure we had them around us. I know I did. I had a few, and I didn't know what to make of them because my parents were like, okay, they're strange, they're different, they're, they're out there, they're whatever. And although my dad was strange, different, and out there, my dad was an
Mine
esoterist.
too.
Yeah, he was esoterical. He was an atheist, but esoterical. And ancient astronaut theory was huge in my household. Chariots of the Gods was required reading. I mean, there were no Bibles. Yeah, there were no Bibles in our house. There was a little bitty miniature one that my grandfather had given me that we had. And my mom had one of those little Oral Roberts prayer towers that she got. And my daddy was having a cow about that, but it was in the house. He literally ran a Bible salesman off one day. My mom was apologizing as the man is running down the hill at our house. I mean, he's literally running to get away from my dad, who's like cussing him like nobody's business. And my mom was apologizing, and daddy's like, don't you apologize to him. And the man's just running, and Chariots of the Gods is laying in the house, and it's required reading, and so that's what I grew up in, Yeah. So, but still the woo-woo, like we're talking about, was, but there was just like a Pentecostal woman down the road, and my daddy was terrified of her because she had powers, and I'm like, well, what powers does she have? If you don't believe in any of that, what powers does she have? She's got powers. I'm not messing with her. Yeah, I'm not messing with her. She's got powers. And then later in life, he was like, he was so proud of himself because he had never held a deck of cards. And he didn't believe in abortion or suicide. And I'm like, well, yeah. And because there was no redemption for that. And I'm like, well, Daddy, redemption from what? Because you're an atheist. And he's like, I don't know. There's just no redemption for it. And I was like, you don't make sense, Daddy. But so my upbringing was like bizarre. But even as bizarre as it was, what you and I believe now was considered, okay. Yeah. And I so wish Daddy were alive now. My daddy died right before COVID. He died in January of 2020. And I so wish you were alive now with all the spiritual awakening that's going on, because there's so much of it I would like to talk to him about.
Yeah.
And say, okay, Daddy, because I had been clairaudient my whole life and didn't know what it was. Because I just thought, okay, I just talk to myself in my head, And then whenever I started, it became that I could feel the energies around me and realize, okay, you're not talking to yourself in your head. There are energies here that are talking. That is not you, okay? Then it's like, holy crap, So I would love for that, because now I could say, okay, Daddy, boy, were you ever right about some stuff? Boy, let's talk. Because his eyes would get this big, and I could see him now, baby, whoa, what? Because I mean, because he had some beliefs that people thought were so far out there that really were not so far out there.
You would have the powers.
Oh, I have the powers now. Yeah, I have the powers. Because like I have to control so many things, and people. I know people have no idea, but the things I've had to learn to control, because I don't use any of my gifts to spy on people. That is one of the things that once I learned that I had them and started realizing how empathic I was and all of that, I'm like, oh, I don't want to know, I don't want to sit next to a friend and know what she's really thinking about me. I don't want to know that. And like, I could put my hand over my phone and feel what a text message was like, like extra things from a text message. And I'm like, I don't want that, I don't want to know that I don't want to know that the truth was she really didn't want to go. I don't want to know that. And so I had to learn how to control those things, and I don't use them for that, but there were so many things like that that I've had to learn to control, and because I don't want to know those things, but so my daddy would be blown away by it. But yeah, we live in a world now that is so different, and we have ethical choices to make.
Yeah.
That people don't realize that I interviewed one of our co-authors who's a massage therapist that when she touches a client, she gets glimpses into their lives. Imagine that. Imagine what you could do with that. Because her story in the book is about one of them seeing how he abused women.
Yeah.
Imagine what she could do with that kind of power. So we have ethical choices to make with the power, because it is power. And so I don't even like the word empowerment for that reason. I like ability. I like that we're enabled, because the word empowerment, even to me, has where everybody is so hung up on the word, I want to be empowered. I want to be, I want to be empowered. And I'm like, I don't want to be empowered. I want to be enabled. The people don't like the word enable. They're like, don't enable people. I'm like, no, enable me. Give me my abilities and let me choose how to use them.
Yes.
But don't empower me, because I don't want power over anyone except myself. I only want my own power. I want to call my own power back to me and use my own power, and you use but by power, I mean ability. I want my own energy. I want my energy. Energize me. Let me be energized to use my abilities, but let me use them for me and not, so, we have so many ethical things now to deal with. We have big issues now to deal with that society has no idea what's coming. We have big issues here to deal with. And so it's like, there's a whole new world here, folks, and
a whole new world.
A whole new world. But the thing is, because it is about, we're like light and love and compassion. And so that is how we think automatically. Every empath I talk to, every person like you I talk to, it's automatically, I don't want to know what other people are thinking, and I don't want to abuse, they get it when I say that the word empowerment is uncomfortable to me, that I want to talk about my ability, not my power, and
yes.
So
that's a very good point, and I'm glad that you're making that, because that is true. It's more about having the ability, not the power.
Right.
And being able to use that ability for the good of all.
Right.
Not just you or whatever.
Right.
And, it's really very interesting when people ask you about those abilities and you try to explain them, and they can't understand, and that's okay. No one else is supposed to understand.
Yes.
But and for me, mine is more on the feeling, knowing. It's not, I see things, I hear things as well, but not to
You're more claircognizant.
Yeah. But not to the extent, not with your eyes or your ears, but
just knowing, claircognizant. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But that all comes through for feeling and knowing for me. So I remember one instance that I was having breakfast with a guy friend, and he was kind of new to exploring the woo side of life.
Right.
And so he knew I was sensitive and empathic, and he goes, so he just looked at me all of a sudden and he goes, so what color am I thinking of? And I went, in my mind, I'm going, what?
Yeah, I don't do that. I don't play those games. Uh-huh.
And he goes, no, it was really red. And I said, okay, I'm just telling you, it doesn't work like that.
No.
For me.
Yeah, it doesn't me either.
Who can probably do that, but that's not me. So we had our breakfast and we got through, and he goes, I have to come clean. And I went, okay. And he goes, the color really was blue. And I said, okay, well, I'm just telling you it was by accident.
Because it doesn't work that way.
Because it doesn't work that way. But I could have said any color in the world, but blue is what came to me, and that's what I said. So maybe it wasn't coincidence. I don't know. But it doesn't work like that. And it's
hard to explain to people that
yes,
it's what source, spirit, the divine, the universe, the collective, whatever,
yeah,
decides to let you feel
yeah,
or hit or hear or know or sense.
yes,
And you don't know necessarily why they are. Now, there are times when people ask you to sense their ancestors or whatever. I mean, that happens, and so
yeah,
you do go for specific things and get them. Going into the Akashic records, accessing people's ancestors. I do. I'm a medium. I can go into Akasha as well. I can do those things, but but as far as like just sitting across from someone and just choosing to, but at the same time, I also have to know how to have my shields up so I
yeah.
don't get, because but for some reason, source, the divine, however you want to put it, does choose to give me a lot of information, and I don't know why that is.
Or
But
sometimes even what to do with it, if
right,
anything. Yeah.
but I choose, because I'm sovereign of self, because I control this human experience. I choose that I don't want to be sitting around getting the information about my friend. I don't want to know what
I don't
she's
need to know
thinking or
that.
feeling. I don't need to know that. I
Yes.
don't need to know. Um, I haven't gone on any dates yet, but if I go on any dates, I don't want to know what that guy is thinking. You know,
I don't
I
know,
don't want to
maybe you
know.
do.
No, I don't. I can tell you right now, I don't want to know, because can you imagine? It's already uncomfortable enough. Can you imagine
Yeah.
knowing, if he's thinking, oh my God, she's got spinach in her teeth? Or so, really, all the things you're already uncomfortable with,
Yeah.
you don't need that too. So, and I think
True.
also when you're in those situations, your own nerves come into play and you can't necessarily trust your reads. That's what people don't realize
Sometimes.
too. Yeah,
Yes.
people don't realize that even if I get an intuitive hit when I'm in an emotional situation,
Hmm.
I don't necessarily trust that intuitive
Yeah.
hit, because my own filters are in play.
Me.
And so no, so don't do the whole, okay, I'm going to test you thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't do that,
Exactly.
because that's not, it's like a doctor shouldn't doctor themselves or their family, and a lawyer shouldn't lawyer for themselves or their family.
Yeah.
We don't need to do those things for ourselves, or those that we're really close to or in emotional situations with, because we have our own filters. And so, while I'm very happy to help other people, and I will help somebody if I'm close to them, but I will also tell them, my allergies are acting up. My throat chakra is not, I don't trust my throat chakra, for the clairaudience, because that is where clairaudience comes through. Yeah, I will tell people that, and I'm very open about those things, because I don't want to be wrong,
Yeah.
if and but yeah, mediumship and those things, that they're gifts, and why we get them when we get them sometimes. I mean, and there are times that people can ask us questions and we can access it, and then there are times that it just comes to us, and it's explaining it is, how do you explain?
Difficult. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you were talking about boundaries and having to kind of learn that. And boy, was that a lesson to learn, because I can remember when
It
I
is
first
a
started.
lesson.
Yeah, when I first started, well, I mean, before then it was like all over the place.
Yeah.
You didn't know.
No.
And yeah, and then I started doing massage therapy. Now, by then I had begun to learn a little bit more about,
Sure.
being sensitive and empathic and those kinds of things. So I was working on that grounding, but I am telling you, yeah, when I was touching others, or I was coming in such close um, contact with another person, and in their energy field, it was
Yes.
just like, when I got through working on somebody, it was just like, I am just like tired. And for the longest time, I was just like, what's that all about? Well, I was working a full 40-hour week, and then I was doing massage therapy on evenings and weekends. So I chalked it up, right, to, oh, it's just all the work I'm doing.
Exhaustion,
Yeah.
physical. Yeah.
And that's part of it. But the other part is, no, I wasn't clearing
You weren't
all of that
clearing it.
energy that I didn't need out. So, nor grounding myself before I started.
Explaining grounding to people. Explaining that we're not grounded even, because
And they're
people look
like,
at you,
what?
what do you mean we're not grounded?
Feet on the floor? What?
Yeah. But once you are grounded, you're like, oh my God, I wasn't grounded. I
So,
mean,
everybody's going to be asking us, so how do I ground myself?
yeah. But once you really experience the grounding, you're like, oh my gosh, this explains so much about what's been going on with me. And still sometimes the things I notice too, and we all talk about this, is how we forget. We forget to clear our energy. We forget to ground. And we're like, what is going on with me? Why am I off today? And then you're like, really? I didn't ground. I didn't center. I didn't clear my energy. And you're like, this is so basic. And how am I not doing this? But we do. It's like, how are we not doing the basics? We know the basics. How are we so not doing the basics? But it's like we have to remind each other. I'll get a text from someone and they'll say, I'm just so out of it today. I don't know what's going on. And I'll be like, have you grounded today? Have you centered today? Have you cleared your energy? And they'll be like, and they're like, hold on.
So this is funny. Right before we got on, I pulled a card from one of my oracle decks. You want to know what that card was? Whoops, let me find it.
Grounding.
Be present in the moment.
And ground, yes.
Go deep and explore your roots.
Right, because unless we're grounded, we can't manifest. Yeah, so many, people, we have to be grounded to manifest, and grounded to be sovereign into ourselves, to understand our multidimensional self to begin with. We have to be able to be grounded. And so there's so much more to all of this, finding your voice. You have to find yourself first, and finding our voice as in this human experience. I mean, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Yeah. I mean, there's so much more to be said as more and more people become awake. There's so much more to be said about finding your voice.
And we were talking earlier about excuse me, talking too much, I guess.
Yeah, I've gone through all the cough drops. I had to crinkle the paper and open another one.
So I was thinking earlier that we were talking about the part of the country that we were born in and how it wasn't, how things, some of the things we do aren't fully acceptable, or woo, and that in other places of the world, it's always been acceptable.
Yeah.
And so many times I've asked myself, who am I and why am I here? But later, now it's more of a, I had begun to ask, why wasn't I born to someone? Why wasn't I somewhere where my gifts could have been, nourished from childhood, and where would I be now? And what I know and what I'm told is that people like you and I are where we are in this world, in our little neck of the woods.
Yes.
Because we are part of the light that is bringing Earth up into the level, the higher level, the
vibration.
Metamorphosis.
Yes. Yeah, the vibration. Yes.
That is actually taking place on this planet right now.
Right.
It's the yous and I's that chose to come to these places or be in these places now to exactly that, raise the vibration, keep the vibration raised.
Keep it up. Keep the energy positive. Each of us has, when we are our authentic selves,
Mhm.
a vibration that we are at. And when we are at that, we are attracting to us the people that are meant to listen to us, the
Yes.
people that will relate to what we're saying, the people that it's at that time, that place.
Yes.
And it may be 10 people for some of us, 100 people for some of us, thousands for some of us,
And maybe
but
only one for some
maybe
of us.
only one for some of us. But and it may be that some of us are just here just to hold the vibration, just to keep the
Exactly.
vibration up, or to be the parent or the mentor to someone else who's going to do something. But that is it. We are here now at this time
Doing
to
what it is we're supposed to be doing.
doing what it is we're supposed to be doing. And it's the upgrades we're going through, the all the things we're going through. It is and the aloneness we're going through, because
Yeah.
there is a great deal of aloneness with it too.
And, talking about being alone, it's not for maybe not all of us, but for some of us, for me in particular, the aloneness is not a horrible thing. I love my alone time. I need my alone time to
Yeah,
gather my energy back. I
yeah,
love being with people. I love being in a small group of people. I don't really resonate or like being in a large group of people anymore, but I like that smaller group, and I can be in those larger groups if I need to be, but I don't want to be there very long.
yeah.
Sorry.
I'm watching the
It's
time.
fine. And so what I was just going to say is that I like my own personal alone time, and there's times when I think, I could just be a hermit. And then I stop myself and I go, no, you can be that for a couple of days, but then no, you need to get back out. And there have been days when I have realized that, like if I didn't feel good, maybe, or if I was just busy doing stuff in my house or whatever, it's like, okay, 3 days, 4 days have passed. I haven't even set my foot outside my back door. And I'm just like, girl, you need to get outside.
Right.
So,
Yes, because
yeah.
what we're going through is people understanding that we are sovereign to self. We don't lose that personal sovereignty by being a part of the collective.
Right.
We don't lose that. And that our individuality is what makes us so valuable to the collective.
Yes.
And that being part of the whole, being part of the solution, whether you're talking spiritually and as the whole, or whether you're talking the world, you know, is a beautiful thing, because our individuality, our uniqueness is a part of the solution.
Yeah.
And that is why we have to do self-care, is so we know ourselves and we can be our healthiest self in this world, in relationship, and for the collective. And so it is about sovereignty of self, and it is about relationship on all levels, here and spiritually. And that is what ascension
Yeah.
is knowing that you do not lose your individuality when you ascend, um, when you ascend as a physical being now, and when we ascend, when we go back to being just spiritual beings.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that is, but yeah, there is a lot of alone time with it as well. Yeah, there is. And you can embrace that, and it is wonderful. And but there is a great deal of introspection and healing that has to be done. And that is the gifts that we have and that we've been talking about sharing it, really. And it's using those gifts with integrity that we have to do. And people finding their voice is how people heal.
Yes.
And that's what finding your voice is about. That's how you become your healthy self. So you can be in relationship with yourself first, and with others, and have that happy, healthy life here, physically and spiritually and mentally and emotionally, and in all ways, is by finding your voice.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
agree.
You've got to be back, girl. We have got lots of conversations to have. I can tell you right now.
I'm just thinking what you just said reminded me of my work with the chakras.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, that first chakra, that root chakra
The root
is
chakra.
where we learn our position in our tribe, and
Yes.
who we are to be in that tribe, and how we maneuver in that tribe. And then we move up through the chakras, and as we grow, and we move up. And then when we get up here, this is where we're kind of drawn into the tribe. There we have to be, we are who we are within the tribe. So we are us, but we are the tribe, right?
Yes. Yes.
And when we get up here, we are us, and we are still part of that collective, or not so much the tribe, but the collective, the consciousness. But we are our independent self,
Yes.
the independent me, who can still be connected, but not totally tied like we are in the root,
Right.
which is where our existence begins, and where our safety and all of that is. And we have
Yes.
to have that tribe,
Right. I
right?
can tell our next discussion needs to be the chakra system.
Okay, I'm in.
Yeah. All right. We're going to get that booked, girl. Okay. So, the Facebook business page is Sacred Space Okay? Is that right?
The Facebook, yes, Sacred
Okay.
Space. Okay, yeah,
And the website is sacred-space.biz.
yes,
Okay. And LinkedIn, it looks like it's Pam McConnell 81971B12 forward
oh, who
slash.
knows?
Yeah.
You better
Yeah.
write that
Something
one
like
in.
that. Yeah.
It is McDonal, right?
Uh-huh.
McDonel. Okay.
McDonald. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yep. And Facebook personal page is Pam.McDonal. So that's how we find you, or in the book, or just
Yes.
yes.
Go get the book.
Go get the book. Go get the
Pretty
book.
soon there'll be 3 of them.
Yes, soon, November. So yes, it'll
Yeah.
be 3.
Okay, I'm putting this plug too. Just if you want to know anything about happiness,
Yes.
this is my other book. Well,
Yes,
it's not
there
my
you go.
book, but it's
Well,
the book with my
yes,
chapters
because
in.
you're in it. Of course, it's another bestseller. So, all right, Pam, thank you so much for being on. This was a delight.
Thank you, Maisha. It's been fun. Thank you so much.
Yes,
I had a
thank you,
great
too.
time, and I hope your viewers will too.
Oh, they will. They're going to love this. And yes, we're going to talk chakras next, girl.
Okay, sounds good.
All
I'll
right.
get my head on.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye.
All right, bye. See you later.